She never saw a single female pilot growing up, and now she's the chair of the 99's Maple Leaf chapter. Welcome back to Skyward, the podcast that brings you behind the scenes of the aviation aerospace industries and the people who bring it to life. I'm your host, Pilot Mercedes. Today, I have the pleasure to sit down with Cailyx Madensky, commercial pilot trainee and chair of the 99's Maple Leaf chapter. From discovering aviation at 16 years old, after never seeing a female pilot, to pursuing through COVID setbacks and leading one of Ontario's active women in aviation communities, this conversation is full of heart, resilience, and honest discussion about staying in the game despite life's challenges. Let's dive in.
The captain has turned on the seatbelt light. Please take your seat and fasten your seatbelts. Thank you.
Cailyx, thank you so much for coming on today. I'm so excited for this conversation.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here. I've been looking forward to this since we first talked about it, so thank you for having me.
Oh, it is completely my pleasure. So let's dive right into it. Give me a little bit about your story. What sparked your curiosity into aviation in the first place?
Honestly, it started with I traveled a lot growing up with my family. I was always fascinated about being in the sky, but I never really knew that it was possible to become a pilot.
Mhm.
I'd never seen a female pilot on any of the trips we'd ever gone on. But
You
it
and me
was when I
both.
was in, it was crazy. I had never one time seen a female pilot up until probably about 6 years ago. Um, I've been flying for about 10 years now. So to be in it for that long and still not see anyone other than knowing of them was crazy and would be super discouraging throughout the
Mhm.
process. But it wasn't until a friend of mine that I went to high school with and played sports with, she told me that she was starting flying at Brantford Airport. And it just kind of clicked. And I went home and said to my parents, this is what her name's Emily. This is what Emily's doing. And I want to look into this and start flying. And my parents said, okay, let's go and let's look at our options. So that's kind of where it all started for me.
How old were you when this conversation happened?
I was 17. Actually, I was 16, turning 17. It was in my grade 12 year. Um, we started talking about it probably around October, and then I started flying later on that winter. So,
Wow, that's a really cool start and a really good age to get started into it as well.
yeah.
Like coming right out of high school and right before you're kind of choosing what direction you want to go in. So what a great opportunity.
Thank you. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
great. It was a great way to um, kind of shift gears. I was fully focused on a different section and different career path at that point. But then it kind of switched everything for me.
Yeah, what were you interested before having that conversation with your friend?
I wanted to do policing or firefighting. So I'd applied
Oh.
actually, yeah. So I had applied actually for programs for that to universities. I'd been accepted, and when I first started flying, I just wanted to fly for fun. So originally thought that I was just going to do my PPL, and that was it. And then once I started flying, that completely changed. Um,
Mhm.
and I was a couple months into it. I had gotten acceptance letters, but I had to decide what school I was going to go to, what program I was going to go into, whether it was policing or firefighting. I
Mhm.
declined all of my offers and I went to my parents and said, hey guys, I am taking a year off from flying, or sorry, not from flying. I'm taking a year off from school. I'm going to save up and then I'm going to go to school the following fall. And my parents just said, go for it. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. So then
Yeah,
that's where I went from there.
that's fantastic. So did you do your PPL and your instrument rating there?
I started my PPL in Brantford, and then when I went to Algonquin College in Ottawa, and it was an aviation management program. So
Oh,
continued my
wow,
PPL.
nice.
Yeah, so I kind of got both sides of it, which was great. Um, it was kind of like you got a fallback plan if something ever happened and you couldn't fly. You had the
Mhm.
management side of it, so you could go into operations, and we learned a lot in that program, which was great. So I finished my PPL there, started my CPL, started my night rating. And then just as I was at the end of my schooling, getting prepared to go into my CPL flight test, and I was in the
Uh-huh.
middle. I wasn't at the very end yet, but I was kind of in the middle of my training. Then COVID happened. So I
Oh
graduated
man.
school, but my flying was put on pause for a few years after that because of COVID, and the airport was like opening and closing. And so I was like, I'm going to put it on halt until things open up fully again. And then that's when I got back into it.
Well, I can completely relate to life being put on hold, that's for sure, between medical reasons and then COVID for sure put a lot of our lives on hold. So I completely relate to that. So
Yeah.
did you get a full degree then in aviation management as well?
It was a diploma. So it was a
It
2 year
was a
fast track
diploma, okay.
program. Yeah, it was a 2 year fast track program. So we were there through our summers. It was just a semester throughout the summer that we were there for. And yeah, it was a diploma that we ended with aviation management.
That's still a lot of great education. I mean, I did a bachelor's in aviation. But I would love to do like another degree or another diploma in aviation because there's so many cool different avenues that you could go in and learn about the industry because it's so vast and so interesting. So that's really
Yes.
cool that you took the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I wanted my with me wanting to kind of go and finish my commercial and not fly for fun anymore. My parents' biggest thing was you always have to have a backup plan. So if
Mhm.
it's not going to be flying, what's it going to be? If you're passionate about aviation, what are you going to do if something
Yeah.
happens and you can't fly? So that's when I started really looking into the programs. And originally, I was dead set on going out west to Mount Royal University for their aviation management program there, which was a
Mm.
4 year degree program. But as you know, flight training is extremely expensive as it is. And I just thought I'm going to add additional cost of coming to and from home, visiting and things like that with airline tickets,
Yeah.
and plus the 4 year program. So I thought this way I can get a diploma, get it done quicker, and then pretty much get an air quicker. So yeah.
So what got you to pick up your commercial pilot license training back up again? What was the indicator that this was the right time to take it up again?
I think that it was just that it was never that I wanted to stop. It was kind of life circumstances threw itself in the way. COVID happened. There
Mhm.
was like personal setbacks,
Yep.
medical setbacks as well. So it was
Yep.
always that I wanted to still keep flying, but just there's things that were holding me back. So instead of kind of dwelling on the fact that I couldn't be in the air and that all these things were kind of stacking up against me, I stayed in the industry by volunteering. That's when I kind of got involved with the 99s. Plus, I've always done lots of volunteering outside of aviation my whole life. I've been super passionate about volunteering. So, aviation and volunteering kind of just naturally aligned once I got into the industry. Um, I volunteered at the Brantford Airport when I couldn't fly with their events. When I lived in Ottawa, we did air shows out there. Um, so it was it was never that I didn't wanna keep flying, it was just I couldn't fly for whatever that circumstance was at that time, and,
Mhm.
um, I think the biggest push was my family. They kept, encouraging me, "Okay, once you find out when you can start back again, start back again." So I would stay,
Mhm.
kinda like true to the course, still studying, still being
Yeah.
involved was and I think honestly that kept me motivated. If I hadn't have been involved, then I think it would've been a lot harder to come back.
Yeah, I bet. So are you the first pilot in your family, or do you have any connections after you kind of got started in this journey?
I don't have any other pilots in my family actually except for my brother. I
Ooh.
have 4 I'm the youngest of 4. My brother is the second oldest, so we're 5 years apart. And, but I would say me and my siblings all kind of have a little bit of a competitive edge in a good way. It kinda helps
Yeah.
motivate all of us. So once my brother found out that I was gonna start flying, he said to my parents, "Well, if she's gonna start flying, I think I should start flying too." So he actually started flying as well, and both of us started our journey right at the exact same time, which was great. He ended up applying to Algonquin College as well, and we went to the program together. Instead of staying in dorms, we rented a house together so then we could study
Oh,
and
that's wonderful.
yeah, and we were able to bounce ideas off each other, so it really worked out great. in that sense, and he's still flying. He has his private license and is at the end of his commercial training as well. He did kind of put his commercial training a little bit on hold, but still flying with his PPL. He's getting married this year, so just again, like kind of
Yeah.
life circumstances. So yeah,
Those kind of life circumstances kind of take priority over getting your pilot's license, but that's okay.
exactly.
Oh, but that's great that you had the two of you together because I kind of started with my dad. I don't think I would have actually finished my training without my dad kind of like so I had someone in common and like a friend that I could again bounce ideas off of. So it was great that you had your brother to kind of start your journeys together, even though you're not at the same spot together now, but you had that great starting point. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I think it really helped both of us kind of push each other. And as I mentioned, like we're a bit competitive, so it was um, bouncing ideas off each other and having like friendly bets on who's going to get the better grade in this class and things like that. That just really helped
Mhm.
keep us going. And especially when it came to the harder tests, because we did write our PPL around the same time. We both wrote CPL in school because our program, we did it within the school, and then you could get a letter of recommend from them to then go up to Transport Canada. So we both wrote those at the same time. So it really was great to have someone who was living in the same house as you and able to really bounce ideas off of and help each other through it. So that was
Mhm.
it was definitely a huge help for both of us. And even to this
Yeah,
day,
that
even though
that
he hasn't oh, sorry.
No, 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 go ahead.
I was gonna say, even though he hasn't, continued on with it, with the commercial side of it yet. It's still great to have someone that understands what I'm going through and the steps that I'm at. So one of my first calls after flights is to him. And if I have questions or I want to bounce an idea off him, I call him and he's a great motivator for it because he knows exactly what I'm going through and exactly where I am at. So that's really helpful.
Yeah, that is a huge blessing to have someone kind of in your corner that understands what you're going through and even again, even if you're not at the same spot, but you're able to have a conversation about it and work through problems or even push each other to get better and encourage each other to keep going. So that's a wonderful gift to have because not everybody has that right out of the gate. Was there any other teachers or advisors that you or mentors that you kinda got along the way of your journey besides the amazing support of your family?
I had actually, when I first started flying, my first instructor ever, his name was Tristan. I flew with him for a few months, and then he went off to Air Canada Jazz, I believe he started with. Um,
Mm.
and then my next instructor after that, Catherine, both of them were really great helping, like for helping in the beginning. They explain things thoroughly. I'm a big question person, so I ask tons of questions. If I don't fully understand it, I'm gonna ask it 10 different ways until I understand it. So they
So
were
you're a
really
fantastic
patient with me.
student as well, because that's
Yeah,
exactly what you want from a student is that you ask questions, not just go, "Uh-huh, yeah, I get it," and then totally not get it later.
exactly. So they both were really patient with me, which is great. And actually, Catherine is who's helping me. She's now our CFI at Brantford, and she's helping me finish my commercial license, which has been super helpful. And nice that I already kind of known her since the beginning of my journey. Now she's helping me at the very end of it. So those were
Mhm.
two mentors that were super helpful for me. And then another was when I was in school. I was paired with a mentor through the Northern Lights mentorship program.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, so I, was paired with a training captain for Porter. She's now flying on the Embraer with Porter as well. Her
Very
name's Kate
nice.
Spear, and she had to be my biggest cheerleader in school. We, met for coffee dates, we would text, email. She would always ask me for updates, and, she really was a big part of my journey, especially when I was in Ottawa, um, and someone who I still look up to this day, and I'm really grateful to have had her and her support and guidance throughout at least that stage of my journey, and, um, still to this day, I could reach out to her anytime I want, and she would be a great help, so
Yeah, that kind of mentorship and within the industry is so unique and so helpful along the way, like emotionally and actually helping achieve the task that you're trying to achieve. So that's amazing that you're able to get connected right away and have that person continue with your journey all the way to even the present day. So that's an amazing resource. We just talked about that actually in the one of the previous episodes with Olivia talking about the mentorship. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Then what is one of your biggest lessons that you've kind of learned along the way since going through your training early on as a teenager and then having this big gap in between with COVID and life circumstances? What are some lessons if it's not just one?
I think my biggest lesson that I've had to take away from my experience as a whole is really just have patience with it. It's going to
Mm,
come when it comes. Um, it's been almost 10 years of me flying. So I've had setbacks. As I mentioned, I had injuries and illnesses in my family and personal setbacks and that kind of thing. So I think
mhm,
honestly, just having patience with it, knowing that if you kind of keep your head down, it's going to come back eventually. And you just can't kind of lose hope or lose faith in that. Um, and just really have patience that it's going to be your time at some point. So just
mhm.
keep going.
Absolutely. Keep going, and you're living proof of keep going for sure. So what are your goals now that you're back on track, doing your training and stuff? What's the thing you're looking forward to for your personal aviation journey?
I have a couple. I have short term and I have long term. So I would
That's
say
great. You don't have to have one goal.
exactly. So short term I would say um right now I'm focusing in on finishing my commercial. I'm at the very end of it. I'm pre-flight test ready to go essentially for it.
Uh-huh.
And I'm have a very short span of time that I'm kind of completing everything. So I'm finishing my CPL. I leave for Cornwall mid-April to go and complete my multi-IFR. Then afterwards, I'm writing my IATRA. So those are all kind of my short-term goals to finish all of those, be done with my licenses and ratings for what I need at this point in time, and then start working for the company that I'm currently employed with, Latitude Air Ambulance. I work there as a
Mhm.
duty officer right now, so I want to move into a pilot position, hopefully, um, in the near future or whenever they have a spot opening or the opportunity presents itself. And then I would say my long-term goal, um, I want to do medevac for a while. I kind of mentioned earlier, I have always done volunteering and that kind of thing throughout my life. So I've always loved helping people. I've loved being there for people. And medevac, I think, is a great way to do that. And then I also want to tie
Absolutely.
aviation in with my original goals, which was policing or firefighting. And my long-term goal is to become an aerial firefighter and do forest fires.
Wow, those are some great goals. I was kind of thinking about the whole what your current workplace situation is was a perfect merging of aviation and your original goals of like firefighting and service. So that that was kind of an amazing perfect setup for you,
Yeah, it really worked out well, and it kinda just happened one day. I went from working in a law office as a law clerk,
which is
um,
very different.
very different, and I was just working there for a job. It wasn't because I was really interested in it. Of course, I was interested in the law side of it, but I've never
Yeah.
wanted to be a lawyer, so that was not my interest. Um, and then I came across the job for Latitude, and I applied. I got interviewed twice, and then within I think it was a week or maybe 2 weeks afterwards, I, was hired and started 2 weeks after that, so it was really quick as soon as I saw
Wow.
the posting, so I was really happy to be able to move into there and then not knowing that there's a pathway, but it's not a direct pathway, but um, there have been people who have moved into pilot positions. So just knowing that there is a possibility is honestly
Mhm.
great. And I love it there. I love working for them and being in medevac and being immersed in aviation. So it's been really great.
Yeah, it's a totally different side of aviation that you get to see that most of us don't usually see. The typical thing that you see is the airlines or flight instructors, and that's or maybe some private jets. That's the most commonly known areas, but you don't think about the medevac part, which are so important, especially with some of the circumstances that are taking place with those kind of situations.
Yeah.
So then what are some how did you handle all the challenges and possibly like the disappointments of having to wait and having to learn patience, because I'm sure it wasn't easy to have patience initially, probably very frustrating in the beginning. How did you handle those challenges, and how have they changed how you face new challenges coming ahead?
It's honestly pretty simple in the sense that I really just take it day by day. That's like my biggest motto with anything or motto I do, is take it day by day. And kind of as I mentioned before, just really staying involved in aviation. Um,
Mhm.
I think that's how handle the challenges that have come with aviation and come with the setbacks is just staying in it. In terms of my actual flying and my ratings and licenses. Um, I like preparing for lessons ahead of time. I really take the time to go through everything, read it over, and then I will ask questions if I have questions about it. As I mentioned, I'm a big questions person. So
Yeah.
if there's anything that doesn't click or stick, then I ask questions. Um, and yeah, I really think my mentors have also helped, and my family is a huge help in that as well. So if there's anything that is kind of standing in my way, I talk it out with my family, and they really help keep me going.
Mhm. Well, before we get into the community aspect, which you've highlighted a couple times now, I want to just ask this one question of what advice you would give someone who's wanting to follow in your footsteps of getting their private license, doing all this pilot training. What advice would you give them?
One, do it. Go and become a pilot. You won't regret it. But number two, definitely understand the commitment. Understand that it's a big time commitment and also financially. It's not cheap to
Mhm.
become a pilot. You have to find there's many scholarships you can apply for. There's financial aid, all that kind of thing. But just really understanding that it's not going to be maybe even a year. Like, it could take a long time. Everyone goes at their own different pace. Um, and be patient, be open to feedback. Everyone's different, everyone's journey is different. So just mistakes are part of aviation. Just be willing to take it as it comes. Um, and yeah, I think that would be probably the best advice. I wish someone told me that at the beginning because, of course, I had to learn patience along the way. It can get discouraging when you have roadblocks, but definitely patience is a big one, knowing what you're getting into, um, and just enjoying it while you're doing it. Because
Mhm.
eventually it's going to become your full time job if that's what you're looking for it to be. So just enjoy it while you're in your training. You do a lot of fun things. You're learning things for the first time. It's going to become routine eventually, but just really enjoy it and have fun with it while you're learning.
Yeah, those are some great pieces of advice, and I agree. I wish I had that before I started my training. I don't think it would have changed whether or not I went into it, but learning patience was a very difficult lesson, and the discouragement and having to figure out, is this worth giving any more time into or not? It definitely is worth it if you love it, but it not everything is smooth sailing. Some people have that, but that's actually not probably, I would say, the commonplace. We just assume it is.
Yes,
But that's a misconception. Now, you
absolutely.
talked about so many times now that you had staying in community and staying in the aviation space in some way helped you stay motivated, stay encouraged. How did you get connected to the 99s, and what is your involvement with them now?
So I first heard of the 99s when I was living in Ottawa. The airport I was flying out of was called Rockcliffe. And they hosted an event every year called a Girls Fly Day. They do them all over Canada and Ontario and that kind of thing. Um, but so I was volunteering through the airport, and that's where I first heard of the 99s because they were the ones who were essentially running it, but they were just working in connection with the Rockcliffe Airport to help support. So that's
Okay.
where my interest for them first peaked. And then COVID happened, school finished. I kind of hadn't thought about them again because I wasn't flying at the time. And then when I officially moved back to Brantford from Ottawa, because I was finished everything, so we moved all of our stuff back home. And I wanted to bring the girls' flight day to Brantford. We didn't have anything like that here at the time. So I reached out to who I didn't know at the time was a 99, but I'd just known her for years, Lisa Bishop. She's a Maple Leaf chapter member as well. And she helped get me in connection with Rita Richter, who is also a Maple Leaf chapter
Oh, there you
member.
go.
Yeah, both of them are past chairs as well with the 99s or within the Maple Leaf chapter. And it kind of just launched from there. Rita invited me to their AGM that November 2021. That same day, I went home, signed up for the 99s. I became a membership chair for the chapter that same day. I served as membership chair for a year. Then I moved into vice chair for a year after that. And then the year after that, I was nominated for chair. And I've been sitting at chair for the Maple Leaf chapter since 2023. So I'm going on my third term this year.
Incredible. You kind of just got launched right into that.
Yeah.
You
I
put your
really,
toe in and you got completely sucked in, but it seems like it was a very good choice.
it was. I put 100% into everything I do. I go from 0 to 100. I love being involved, volunteering, doing things for the community. So putting aviation, women in aviation, especially um, in that mix really
Mhm.
opened up the door and opened up the 99s for me, which was incredible. Um, I also started the Let's Fly Now, which was the Girls Can Fly Day, but it's the 99 specific Let's Fly Now. I hosted that with Rita for 2 years through the 99s at the Brantford Airport. And then we decided that we wanted to take it on a bigger scale. COPA was hosting a similar event, but everyone was involved, both male and female. Our event was geared towards women and girls. And we decided this past year in 2025 to kind of join forces and do the 99's Let's Fly Now and COPA's Discover Aviation. We put it together and we created Let's Discover Aviation Now. So
Wow.
we held our first successful event this past September. We flew about 100 people, which was great. And for the first 2 years, I was really nervous about going up in the air. I didn't necessarily want to go up in the air while I was worrying about what was happening on the ground. I wanted things to run smoothly. So this year with the partnership, I felt
Mhm.
more confident to kind of step back. There was more people involved. There's a bigger team, and I actually flew in the event for the first time this past year, which was
Wow.
incredible. I went up on 5 different flights, and it was those kind of events really make it all worth it. Make all the long hours of the emails and the planning and the event planning, just make it all worth it just to see everyone's smiling faces and that it's really just bringing a community together and getting people more involved in aviation.
Yeah, that's so good. And I'm so glad that you took the initiative to merge the two rather than having two different events. You're like, let's just make it one big one, which is
Exactly.
great. Did you end up having like, a bigger turnout that you found between the two different events?
I
Or
would say
what were your findings from this new kind of day that you created with them?
I definitely think we had a bigger turnout. The event is completely volunteer based. So the fuel that goes into it, the aircraft costs,
Yeah.
everything is all volunteer. So we're taking each of these participants up on their first introductory flight free of charge. Um, so I think people appreciated it in the past, but I think we kind of really pushed home better this year to explain that this is completely volunteer based. This could cost someone, depending on their aircraft that they're flying today, $1,000+ to be here to take
Yeah.
all these people up. So it was, I think everyone was really grateful this year, and we definitely did see a bigger turnout. We had really tried to focus on in the previous years where it was just with the 99s to have about 50 people versus we had closer to 100 people once we combined forces. We also saw that we had a lot more pilots commit to it. In the past years, there's been conflicting schedules and things like that. So we've had
Mhm.
99s, but we've also had actually a few COPA members fly it for us in the past. So it was nice to kind of grow our numbers on both sides when we combine forces to have a
Mhm.
lot more COPA pilots involved and a lot more 99 so that it just came together to be a much bigger event. And I think that going forwards for this year, we're already talking about hosting even more people. We don't want
Wow.
quantity to get too big because we want quality over quantity. But I think we realized this year that we really had the capacity to fly a lot more than 100 people. So I think we're going to aim for bigger, better, more people in the coming years for that.
Wow. That is such a great opportunity for anyone who doesn't have the capabilities, like financial means to kind of do that first fam flight. So, since you were able to do it yourself, what is the flight that you do for that kind of introductory flight? Like, what do? You take off? Do you do some maneuvers? What is that experience like for the people who get to enjoy that opportunity?
For the people who are going up, basically we try to do no more than 2 people per plane. So, usually if there's someone in the front with you and someone in the back, and we take them up and we basically do checkpoints. So it's
Mm,
kind of as if we're going on a cross country. We have
yeah.
set heading points where we fly to and then keep the route. And on that, depending on the weather, but it was great weather this year, so we were able to do a little bit more. We don't go full flight control deflection, but we show them a little bit of that. We show them, um, when you push down, how it can kind of jump
Yeah.
down and that kind of thing. And we said to people, if you like roller coasters, you're gonna love this, but if you don't, you might not like it, because we've had it be really bumpy in the past. So there's
Mm,
definitely been people who've sat out because of that, but for the most part, everyone's wanting to jump right in. Um, some of our pilots, for the people who are in the front seat, once we got up to cruise, you were able to fly the plane yourself if you wanted to. Obviously, we couldn't have that opportunity for the people who were in the back, but for the people who were in the front, they were able to do that. And yeah, they were able to ask questions. Before the flight, they do a full safety briefing and ground briefing where we explain a little bit about the basics of aviation, the safety aspect to it, and like explain everything that's going to happen within the flight as well.
mhm.
And then they come down after we land. Everyone gets a certificate, which they loved, in a little goodie bag, and then you could stay and view um, the flights that were still happening. We had the hangar set up at Brantford with some RAC aircraft, I believe they're called. I think
So
I might be getting that name wrong, but they're display aircraft essentially. Um,
okay.
so they could look at that. We had other aircraft that were open in the hangar, one with the full engine cover off so they could see the full engine,
That's cool.
kind of get a
That's
tour
so
of that.
cool.
So, yeah, it was a full day and it was really great. Everyone is really excited by the end. There's not any, or there's no one who really has any complaints. Everyone's just really excited to be there and really grateful. So it's a great event, and it's one of the best ones that I've ever hosted, and it's yeah,
Well, I'm
definitely
sure
recommend to
I
anyone.
haven't been able to attend, but I'm sure you do an absolutely amazing job. I've only ever heard good things.
Thank you.
Uh, so then how do you decide do you kind of decide who gets to, partake in the introductory flight, or is there some kind of process or age limit? How does that process happen?
Essentially, we advertise for it, and then it starts off. We try to do 14 and up. Because we want you to be close to the flying age so that you can go
Right.
from the introductory flight right into flying soon after, like if not right away, soon
Yeah.
after. Our first year we did it where it was pretty much all ages, and we had some younger kids, which was great that you could kind of open that door for them early. But then
Mhm.
there's many years that pass, so we found that it's probably better and to hit our better target would be to start at the age of 14. Um, and so, yeah, we just did advertising for that. We had an online portal that you could sign up for once it opened. And
Okay.
then you put your name, age, weight, that kind of thing in there, all your information.
How
Um,
early did that portal open before the event itself?
it opened, I believe, 6 weeks before the event.
Okay, so definitely a decent amount of time for you to kind of get an idea of how many people are actually going to go for the introductory flight.
Exactly, and the portal is actually a really great setup. It's was made through COPA, and we can send out messages to everyone on it. The day of, we can kind of give you a weather briefing, explain if it's going to be canceled or delayed or anything like that.
That's
Um,
fantastic.
yeah, it's really great. It prints us out spreadsheets of ages and weights and names and all the contact
Wow.
information. You can sign your waiver right then and there. We always have waivers on
Yeah.
site as well, just in case. And it worked really well for signing everyone up that way. So really anyone can sign it. We have no limitations other than age. Um, as I mentioned, the 99s did before just females, and then COPA was both male and female. And then when we did
Uh-huh.
the collab, we decided to keep it as both male and female when we did that because it opens the door up more that way. Um,
Yeah.
and we want to be inclusive. Everyone can come be involved. If you're interested in aviation, then that's the way to get involved. So yeah.
That's perfect. Oh my goodness. So if people want to join this year, 2026, when are you going to be hosting it? Have you figured out a date already?
We have not secured a date, but it will be in September, I'm assuming again. We're
Okay.
deciding a little bit between August and September, but it'll most likely be in September again.
Okay, so then people need to be looking out. And it, when you decide the date, where can they find it?
It is posted on our Maple Leaf Chapter Instagram page. We also have a Let's Discover Aviation Now Instagram page. We make Facebook event groups. Brantford Airport sends it out to us. Various airports around Ontario have the flyers. So if you see it, then send us an email, send us a message, and if the portal's not open yet for you to sign up, then we're happy to
Oh,
answer
that's
questions if you'd like.
perfect. That's amazing. Then what do you wish every girl who's listening to this, very specifically, girl who's heard your story, heard what the 99s is kind of about, what do you wish they knew about the 99s and how to get connected to them?
I would say what I want everyone to know is that it is genuinely one of the most supportive and best communities in aviation that I've been a part of, at least. Um, the friendships you build are incredible, the mentorship opportunities, there's scholarship opportunities. Um, it's an international organization, so there's people who um, will go to a vacation or they'll go on a flight somewhere, and if they need a place to stay, there's a 99 that can help them out. Like everyone's always willing to help you. They want you to succeed. One thing I always say to people is that you can walk into a room full of 99s and not know a single one of them. But by the time you leave, not only will you know everyone in the room, but you'll also leave with friendships, you'll leave with
Mhm.
connections, and those will just continue on for years to come, essentially. Um, and another one, too, is you don't have to be an airline pilot. Some people think when it's a pilot organization that you have to be an airline pilot or um, something of the sort, but
Mhm.
that's not the case. It's all walks of life from student pilot to airline pilot to everything in between. So, um, it's just a really great community overall. And if you're looking for support and you're looking for someone to be there for you, there's a whole world of us here. So join
Yeah,
us.
exactly. And even if it never, like you said, never becomes a career, you just want to be a pilot and it's kind of your the side hobby whenever you have the money or the chance. It's welcome to anybody. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. We have many pilots who are just have their PPLs and student pilots and that kind of thing, who are some of the most involved in the 99. So it's really great to see that it's not only like inclusive in the sense that everyone can get involved. There's opportunities for everyone, but just that side of it that any part of aviation can be a part of it.
Mhm. Absolutely. Then what is the best way to get connected if like you're just kind of off the street, you don't know anybody, but you want to get connected to the 99s? What is your advice for them to do that as quickly as possible and easily as possible?
I would say to first sign up with us through the 99's international website, and then it will pair you with a chapter based on your region. And from there, you don't get chapter reports as the executive teams within the chapters. We only get chapter reports once a month. And so if you're joining on the 3rd of the month, but we don't get that chapter report until the following 1st of the month, you might not hear
Mhm.
from anyone for 3 weeks. So you can go into the actual international portal. You can see who your executive team is, has all of our contact information. Reach out to one of us if we haven't reached out to you already. Um, and another way, I would say attend events, introduce yourself to people, reach out. Everyone is friendly. Everyone is willing to have a conversation, get to know you, help you in the best way that they can, direct you if you have any questions. Um, and yeah, just don't hesitate to get involved. I would say for sure with that one. Um, there's a volunteer position for anyone. If you want to be involved, you can join an executive team, you can join a committee, you can join anything. But there's just many different ways to be involved within your chapter.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I have kind of done this by itself, but my experience is a little bit different. Do you have any advice for someone? Would you say that's about the same advice you would give someone moving from one chapter to another?
I would say so. Um, in that case, if someone was moving, our chapter chairs are pretty involved, and we have meetings with all of us quarterly. So we could reach out to one another. If I knew someone from our chapter was moving to a different chapter, say, I would reach out to them and let them know. Otherwise, you can do the same thing. Even if you're not within that chapter, you can still see the directory of each chapter and the executive teams. So just say reach out. Someone will reach out to you for sure. But like I said, if we don't get that report right away, then there's really no other way unless we're checking it consistently
Hmm.
um, before that comes in. So don't hesitate to reach out. We are happy to welcome you and we're happy to introduce ourselves. So we're happy for you to be here.
Well, I definitely felt that welcome when I came to Canada and had a random phone call from one of the Maple Leaf members saying, "Just welcome." It was very surprising for me, but because I didn't experience that in my previous chapter. I didn't really have any real community there, but I also didn't reach out either. So it was kind of I didn't invest and they didn't invest. But when I came here and I just was like, "Oh, well, I might as well sign up for the 99s again since I'm kinda going back into aviation," and I got a phone call, I'm like, "What is this?" And it was just a lovely phone call saying, "Hey, we're welcome to the chapter. We're so happy to have you. What's your story? Let us know if there's anything we can help with," or stuff like that. It was a wonderful surprise in the middle of my workday. I loved it. It was just fantastic.
It's great. I had the same experience. So um, I can't speak for other chapters, but I do know, at least in the East Canada section, from people who I am more involved with our chapter meetings and chapter chair meetings, um, that everyone is like that in the East Canada section. We want you to be involved. We're happy for you to join us, and we want it to expand because it's a male-dominated industry. We want our voice out there. We want women represented in the community. So, um, we just have to get involved.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we're having this conversation today along with it is because of us getting connected through the 99s. I got connected through that phone call, and then I got sent over to Olivia, and Olivia got and I got connected, and then I met you the same year. It's just one little step in front of the other, but
Yeah,
that it's just taking that first step. You just don't know where it'll take you.
absolutely. And I'm the true testament to that. I took that step by going to that meeting, and here I am 5 years later, and I've been the chapter chair for 3 of those years. So,
And absolutely doing an amazing job, have to
thank
say.
you. I
What's your
appreciate that.
hopes and, desires for the Maple Leaf chapter and its growth in the next couple of years?
I always want us to continue to grow and evolve. We have lots of student pilots joining us, which is amazing. I think it's a great way to give them a sense of community and everyone, of course, but student pilots especially need that when they're first starting out and might not necessarily have those mentors. So I really want us to continue to grow. I want our Let's Discover Aviation now collaboration to continue on for years to come, and hopes for it to continue to get bigger and better every year. And by bigger, not necessarily the count of people that are there, but just um, outsourcing. And maybe in a few years, we bring in an airline for representation and that kind of thing,
Mhm.
making it bigger in that sense. Um, we also host an annual fundraising golf tournament for the chapter, which I started 2 years ago, and this will be our third year. That goes directly to our um, chapter, which we're a nonprofit organization. And starting hopefully by the end of this year, it'll be up and running. We are getting ready to launch a new scholarship specifically for the Maple Leaf chapter called the Path to the
Wow.
Sky. Yes, we're very excited about it. It's been in the works for about a year now, and we hope to launch early 2026, but the timeline didn't necessarily work out as we'd hoped, but we're hoping by the end of 2026. And it's going to be called the Path to the Sky Scholarship. Essentially, it's for any rating, any license, that final flight test within any of those. It's the final financial hurdle that you need to get over, and we want to help you get through it and be the last push to kind of finish it off. So that's where I hope the chapter goes in the future. I want us to kind of continue to evolve and have more opportunities for people within our chapter as well.
Yeah, that's some absolutely amazing goals. And I'm so excited to hear about this new scholarship specifically for the Maple Leaf chapter. That's going to help so many women in their journeys. And there's, as we've talked about, there's many stories that don't have the smooth sailing all the way through. There's always some kind of bump along the way. So that's a amazing that you've started that, and I'm looking forward to see the amazing good that it does for the future. So, lastly, for anyone listening, what is the most important thing you want them to walk away with from this conversation?
The most important thing I want people to walk away with is that becoming a pilot really is achievable. If you are doubting it, if you haven't seen a female pilot in the cockpit, as I hadn't when I first started out, it is achievable, it is attainable. It really just takes dedication, discipline, and commitment to learning. Know what you're walking into, educate yourself on that, get prepared for it. Um, but it's going to be one of the most rewarding journeys that you take. And don't be discouraged with your timeline because you could finish it in a very short amount of time, but it also could take you a longer time. But just keep pushing, have fun, ask questions, um, keep going. As I said, even when there's roadblocks. Um, and yeah, aviation's a big industry, but it's such a small world full of amazing people, and as long as you want to and you have the will and the drive to, it's achievable and it is attainable. So, um, just keep pushing on. If that's what you're looking to do and you want to become a pilot, then it is possible.
It's achievable, possible, and doable. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing your story, highlighting the Maple Leaf chapter, and giving some amazing notes and tips for people to walk away with. So, thank you so much, Calix, for coming on today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It was great chatting with you about this, and I'm glad that we were able to do this tonight.
Oh, me too. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
What an inspiring conversation with Calix. I just love how her personal journey proves that aviation is achievable even when life throws the craziest setbacks. However, having a little bit of patience and an amazing community makes all the difference. So if you're a woman or a girl thinking about flying, or you simply love aviation, head over to the Maple Leaf chapter of the 99s and take a look at their newest events coming up. Thanks for joining, and if you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment with your biggest takeaway, and share it with a friend who needs to hear this. Until next time, fly high, dream big, and I'll see you on the next episode.